and they're prepared mentally as well as physically, and of course they've got the talent anyway.
26 years old, Lando Norris, 24 years old, Oscar Piastri, 28 years old, Max Verstappen. He's been here and he's got over the line to become champion, and often it's that winning line that makes you the champion that is the hardest one ever to cross. It's like nailing that final double in the sport of darts. There's a double top up for grabs tonight, Ted Kravitz, because this pole is going to be important.
You can say that again. Yes, welcome from the pit lane, where I've got all the sights, the sounds and the smells, Crofty. I can smell petrol, I can smell brakes overheating, I can smell rubber, and I can smell fear down here as well in some of the championship challenging garages. Actually, with the sights I can see is Lewis Hamilton needing to shake down his car on the medium tyre. You can see it there with the yellow sidewalls on it. That's just to shake it down after the accident a little bit earlier for him to get a feel. So I expect him to complete this lap, or even maybe come in at the end and get onto his usual routine of the red stripe soft tyre. But he'll be going well to get out of Q1, as will Yuki Tsunoda for the reasons we've given you, and the Alpines, and actually the Racing Bulls that haven't been so quick so far in this weekend. But, as you say, will it be the smell of fear for the McLarens? But as for Max Verstappen, he doesn't even know what fear smells like, does he? Comfortable ground for him.
The one advantage Lewis has of that crash in free practice 3 is he didn't run a set of brand new tyres at the end of the session. So that means he goes out this evening. He's got 5 new sets of soft compound tyres. Now in Qatar last weekend, they rather wasted them because he didn't get through Q1. And a lot of brand new tyres sitting back in the garage, which didn't make a lot of sense. But the other front runners have got 4 new sets, for example. So Lewis hopefully can use those soft compound tyres to great effect.
Lewis, the first Ferrari driver since 2009 to have been knocked out in Q1 at consecutive races. And he's not going to dive into the pit lane. He's going for a lap here. Out in Q1 here last year, he hit a bollard, didn't he? Collected one in Las Vegas in Q1 too. So he is going for a lap on the Q1 tyres. He crashed at turn 9 in qualifying. He's got that extra set of soft tyres, should they need to throw more at him to get him into Q2 or hopefully into Q3 as well. Let's see him on his way. First sector 17.2 on the soft tyres. It was like a 17.0 for the leading runners in that final practice session. Already Stroll going a tenth faster than Hamilton throughout that first sector, and he's the car on the back straight alongside Lewis, or just behind Lewis at the moment. Into the chicane we go, turn 6 and 7. It always looks just a little bit clunky, but that was a nice line coming out of there. And this, Martin, was the approach to where Lewis crashed, and he got way over onto the right-hand curve. I dare say he's going to leave a bit more of a margin this time, and he does.
Yeah, and the gearbox sounded a bit clunky coming down, didn't it? But the bottom of the car grounded out as well, which helped send him off the road. This is a super fast part into turn 12. Now it's a lot of 90 lefts and 90 rights off camber as well, which is very frustrating in a racing car. But turn 15, absolutely flat out, 160 miles an hour, back end of the car, scratching along the racetrack. It's a very short run to the line, very easy to go wide through the exit. 24 flat on mediums, not too bad, but you need to be deep into the 123s this evening.
Already Lance Stroll into the 123s with his first run. Franco Colapinto, who's the only driver in the field tonight who hasn't reached Q3 this season, has had a lap time deleted. He exceeded track limits at turn 1, so he's got to try again. As Nico Hulkenberg, proving what Martin was saying there, you've got to go deep into the 123s here, goes faster. And his teammate Gabriel Bortoleto follows him over the line in second place. It's 12-11 in the qualifying head-to-head at Sauber. Bortoleto wins out tonight. They finish off the season at level at 12 each.
Bortoleto playing it very brave with the track limits in the final corner. Lewis Hamilton felt like a decent lap at his medium compound tyres, so he will be, I think, disappointed to find he's already 6/10 off the pace.
Yeah, he'll be back out on the soft tyres without any doubt. This is Franco Colapinto into turn 1 in the Alpine. And that's how and why he made his move over the white line. We can see it off board. Great camera angle there, and a clear slam dunk for the man who's only spent 32 laps out of the 992 he's raced this season in the points. Still to score a point. That looked fairly wide coming out of the final turn for Lance Stroll.
It did, didn't it? Be surprised if he keeps that one, but we're looking at the blue line on the very far side of what becomes an ever fatter white line, from what I can tell, to try and the track limits issue has gone away to an extent, and indeed, unsurprisingly, Lance Stroll's 1:23.772 deleted.
Here's Max Verstappen then, four-time pole sitter here from 2020 to 2023, in which he won from pole on his first flying lap, Martin.
Down, this is where he overtook Hamilton, isn't it, in 2021, with a somewhat audacious move. But it's now all about corner exit speed. You almost want to duck your head going down the straight to go a little bit faster, it feels, but you can't, because you can't move your head really. And then pick up your braking point. And this is a tricky little chicane. 6 and 7 feels very slow, but you need a tremendous exit. You will not lift the throttle now for quite some time. Just ease it down the back straight. You don't want to put any lateral movement in the car at all, but you need a nice wide entry that carries so much speed into that corner now. Early on the throttle, absolutely no sign of the car moving around, just sweeping through here. And now it's all technical. These are the next two corners where the track falls away from you a little bit, and you just got nowhere near as much grip as you think you should have. Now it comes together, but the last corner nips on the exit. That's what catches people out. And Max there inside the white line that mattered. A low 23.3. Again, I think he'll have hoped that was a touch faster.
Couple of hundredths of a second off the fastest time in Q1 last year, which was Charles Leclerc for Ferrari. Max's teammate, Yuki Tsunoda, fourth fastest, was third fastest before his teammate for next year, Isaac Hadjar, went into the top three. Still Nico Hülkenberg with the second fastest time as Charles Leclerc, also trying the medium tyre with Ferrari, goes sixth fastest. I think Ferrari think they can get a couple of laps out of those medium tyres, because Lewis Hamilton has continued on, and just looking to where Lewis is and his tyres. He's changed to the soft now, according to our tyre graphic. But can they get a couple of laps out of the mediums, I wonder? Alonso goes second fastest for Aston Martin. Here comes Lando Norris round the final corner, 10th off, third fastest. We're looking for the top 15 to make their way through into Q2. 10 minutes to go as Liam Lawson pops his racing balls up into the top 4, and I'm expecting these lap times to improve significantly as this session goes on. Piastri 100th off the pace through the first two sectors. Here comes Ollie Behrman, goes quickest, 1:23.2 for Ollie Behrman, finding pace there, leading 14.9 in the intra-team battle with Esteban Ocon.
We've had a Formula 2 race since they were last out. They'll have to recondition the track, but you know what? This looks even closer than we thought it could be.
There is not much between them, less than 2/10 separating the top 5. There's Oscar Piastri, who goes second fastest to Ollie Behrman by 1/1000th of a second. So less than 2/10 separating the top 6 now, as Kimi Antonelli only 8th fastest in his Mercedes, and out in Q1 in Vegas, eventually finished third in the Grand Prix, of course. Now here's George Russell, his teammate, and he goes fastest. There is 8/1000th of a second between the top 3.
Wow. And Behrman then has looked quick all the way through, hasn't he? Even on the radio saying, my car feels amazing, which is, or paraphrasing anyway what he said, which is not often you hear that from a racing driver, because it's not how we're sort of hardwired. But Gasly loses his lap time, sadly for him. And, well, this is oh so close.
And it's oh so close with Lewis Hamilton going 5th fastest and putting himself into those 1:23s. You want to be towards the sharp end of that as Lance Stroll crosses the line, mid-1:23s. That might not be enough. We've got to stop clock on Colapinto, who doesn't lift himself out of the bottom 5. So both Alpines now in the bottom 5, with Gasly having that lap time deleted, and Charles Leclerc's experiment on the medium tyre. I'm a bit surprised they sent him out after seeing Lewis Hamilton's lap time, Martin, because Well, it's left him down in P18. And really, I didn't see the point because the mediums weren't fast enough.
They weren't fast enough, but at least he's had a sighter on the track, and we won't see those again this evening. He's got plenty of time. They need, if they stay calm. Colapinto lost his lap time as well.
And that's why he goes to the bottom. That's 2 for Franco Colapinto that he's had deleted, both at turn 1.
Yeah.
Bernie Collins on the pit wall for us this evening. Hello, Bernie.
Hello, Crofty. I just wanted to quickly come in with a bit of a compare across some of those drivers that you've been talking about. Lando Norris makes a mistake into turn 1. He brakes a little bit too late and then is very, very low speed in turn 1 compared to the others. So he loses 2/10 in turn 1 alone. So if he can tidy that up, that moves him up the order. Oscar Piastri had a little toe down to turn 6, and that allowed him to gain some speed and gain some time compared to the others through that little section. So all of them will be a garage looking at those little things, but I think for Lando Norris, just turn 1. For the others, it's a little bit of traffic here and there.
Thanks, Bernie. If there's any neutrals, they might want to stop the clock now, Martin. Piastri 3rd, Verstappen 4th, Norris 7th. That'd give us quite a few championship permutations for tomorrow, wouldn't they?
Wouldn't it ever? Yeah. So we haven't sort of seen any particular dramas, have we, for Lando as such yet? But that is, he's been a quarter of a second out front, hasn't he? Up until now, Lando.
By the way, Lando would win the title if it ended like that. And that's Gasly with his track limits. Yeah, clearly over.
Yeah, and why that's important on the exit is because it means you can take more speed through the middle of the corner. And to all intents and purposes, that's cheating.
Yeah.
So that is why, otherwise you'd have complete anarchy if you didn't have some rules there like that.
Traffic for Lawson.
Mate, honestly, does he even look in his mirrors?
Yep, there wasn't great.
And some dialogue just to emphasise the point that there were some cars in the way there. Liam Lawson ending up 8th fastest after those initial runs. 10, down to you.
Just picking up on the Alpines, I think you're looking at the Colapinto, who's had both his times deleted on 2 new sets of tyres, Crofty.
Yeah.
So I'm fully expecting him to roll out of the garage right next to me on another set of new soft tyres, which will be approaching his last as the salvage just comes in, as we've got this little lull. But yeah, I mean, the Alpines have known that their car isn't really very quick around here, but it doesn't help when you get both your lap times deleted. Gasly with just the 1. And just to pick up on Esteban Ocon as well, he'll be doing particularly well out if he gets out of this Q1 session. He's been at a loss to explain his lack of pace this weekend. Doesn't know where it's gone, especially in relation to his teammate Ollie Behrman. So really suffering in the other Haas.
This is 5th anniversary, Esteban Ocon, this evening, of his maiden F1 podium, which, of course, he got the Sakir Grand Prix back in 2020, his 180th Grand Prix start as well. And a man who missed Abu Dhabi last year had this race off because he wanted to do the young driver test, the end-of-season test with Alpine, so he, with Haas, I should say, so Alpine released him from his contract early, and Jack Doohan came in instead. Right. Here we go. Carlos Sainz says thank you very much, Kimi. I'll just push in there. Liam Lawson just has to wait a bit behind Yuki Tsunoda. And the cut-off time, the 1:23.3 is a projected cut-off time to make it through into Q2. And if that is absolutely right, only Russell, Behrman and Piastri are safe at the moment. And of those 3, 2 of them have already come out onto the track.
Yeah, it does say plus or minus 0.2 of a second, doesn't it, for a variance there. But in any event, some drivers need to deliver a better lap time. Charles Leclerc, absolutely one of them, for Ferrari. And I think including also the likes of Kimi Antonelli for Mercedes and Lando Norris for McLaren. And I wasn't expecting to have to say that, given how he's been going so far this weekend.
Very true. Charles Leclerc, by the way, in the bottom 5 currently, has a fairly decent run and a very good run, really. The longest streak on the grid without a Q1 elimination. You can go all the way back to Spain 2023, 62 Grand Prix ago, for the last time that Charles Leclerc got knocked out in Q1. And he's got some work to make up, but he hasn't been out on the soft compound tyre as yet. And Gasly and Colapinto saying some drivers with a bit of time to make up, well, get a time on the board in the case of Franco Colapinto. 2 laps, two-track limits violations, and he really has got to make this one count.
This is bad news for Lando Norris, the championship leader. This means he's used another. It's the second set of new tyres.
I assume.
And Oscar Piastri too.
Oh, really? So McLaren keeping it absolutely equal. I was going to say, is Piastri out there on a set of used, but would this set of used soft tyres yield the return that you want? Into turn 5 we go with Lando Norris, and we've got a camera on board with Piastri too. Yeah, Lando normally likes to take that curve on the inside of turn 5 and was a metre or two away from it as he eases to the middle, and then you end up on the outside of the track then. So important not to, you've got to get off the brakes before you turn the wheel, get into the corner over this little clumsy little off-camber right-hander and minimise the meters, maybe try and steal a bit of slipstream now. That car's going too slowly. Tsunoda, tip it in, look at this. Wow, straight on the throttle, upshifting before the apex even, and a couple of flat-out right-hand kinks before this smacks you right in the face at turn 12. That was nice, that was really nice. Onwards he goes then. A much better start to the lap this time round for Lando Norris. Made the slight mistake on the previous lap at turn 1, not on this occasion. Around the final corner he goes and improves to go fastest, 1:23.1 from Lando Norris. If the cut-off time is right, the plus or minus 0.2, that still might end him up round about P8 again, as Piastri now crosses the line and he goes faster by some margin. Wow. For Oscar Piastri. First time this weekend, he has put a big distance in terms of a lap time on his teammate by half a second. Oscar Piastri goes fastest, Albon only 7th fastest as he crosses the line. That's a massive lap from Piastri. Wow. What a statement that is, because we were on board, we were lit with Lando all the way around. Looked like a lovely lap. Turn 5, bit too missing the apex, but wow. And again then, we got a Williams is fast now. Look at that, straight in there. And we've got Antonelli also about to cross the line and go better as well. He goes second, track ramping up a treat. I did say that Lando Norris time could see him start to tumble down a bit. Festive period is coming, lots of online shopping. Could this be the best delivery of the moment from Oscar Piastri? And what a time to do it, as across the line goes George Russell, only P5 for George Russell on that run. Verstappen once again taking a wide line, but he was on the line, goes second fastest. Charles Leclerc, remember, trying to get out of bottom 5 on the soft tyre this time round. Nice, P4 for him with a 1:23.1. Now on board with Yuki Tsunoda, who hasn't got beyond Q1 at the last 3 Grand Prix, and he's put himself 10th fastest overall, with others improving their lap times behind him. Pierre Gasly is currently in the bottom 5. Gasly making his way now round through the hotel section as Lawson goes 9th fastest, and now just a couple of corners to go for a man who's been in Q3 on 10 occasions in 2025 for a team that are last in the championship, and he's just the right side of the elimination zone, but only just the right side. Stroll next across the line, goes 10th fastest, man who's had more Q1 knockouts than any other driver this season. He could be safe for that. Hamilton is on another lap, but he's down to 13th already, and once again so close in the middle as Alonso makes it the second Aston Martin in what is now the top 11. Racing, of course, for their new team principal, Mr. A. Newey has taken the new title at the Silverstone-based team, who have scored points in 13 of the 14 last 14 Grand Prix here. Right, Esteban Ocon, Franco Colapinto, Gabriel Bortoleto, Nico Hülkenberg all need to improve. Gasly is out of qualifying. Ocon goes through, pushes Alex Albon out of qualifying. Next across the line will be Lewis Hamilton. Ooh. And only just the right side of the line for Lewis Hamilton as he tries to avoid 3 consecutive Q1 knockouts. Hülkenberg and Bortoleto make it 3 consecutive Q1 knockouts as Bortoleto goes 14th. Hülkenberg stays in that bottom 5. It is 12 apiece in the Sauber head-to-head in what is Sauber's last race in Formula 1. And as I said, the big news once again for the 3rd race running, Lewis Hamilton out. Yeah, he had a scruffy final sector of the lap, a couple of tenths shy, and that's cost him dearly.
a couple of 10s would have put him up in 7th place. So cue some crestfallen radio and interviews again from Lewis Hamilton. That is not what he expected this evening.
Oh dear. Where do you go? Away from Formula One for a few weeks and just reinvigorate yourself and regather yourself and come back next year in a different place. And that, I think, is the hope for Lewis Hamilton, who is out in the first part of qualifying, and alongside him Alex Albon for Williams.
That's up P16, I'm afraid.
And every time, mate, I was so sorry.
Oh, every time, mate, I'm so sorry. What was the reason? We'll be talking to Lewis in a few moments' time. Nico Hülkenberg out in what will be his 250th Grand Prix start tomorrow. And the two Alpines, once again, slowest of the 20 drivers, Gasly and Colapinto.
Born to dare.
It's all about the magic and the sparkle. Flick indeed. What a goal! Great control! That is special! Running riot. Right at the moment, it doesn't come better than that. Has gone for goal! This is world class.
Chelsea are the champions.
Here we go again. It's redemption day.
He's on for a miracle.
Records are there to be broken, said Michael Schumacher. That is the best move of the lot.
I think I'm in big trouble, guys.
Safety car deployed. The crowd go absolutely wild. He has gone from last all the way to first. Yes, God! For the first time ever, is champion of the world.
After a relentless journey around the world, this is the concluding chapter of the season.
Welcome to Abu Dhabi.
Good launch off the line for the two McLarens. And a crash at turn one. Piastri and Verstappen come together. Under the lights here at Yas Marina.
This is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
McLaren are world champions. And that was an explosive way to finish the season.
Welcome back to the Yas Marina circuit. 5 out, 15 go through to Q2. The fastest of them all, Oscar Piastri, with a 1:22.6. Zach Brown, CO, on the McLaren pit wall. That was a time for Oscar to deliver quite a stunning lap.
That was a big lap, very big lap.
Zach, we're not seeing this kind of pace that Lando's shown so far in this event. Where's the time got missing? What's happening?
He was untidy there. I think he'll be fine next session. Kind of matched his free practice 3 time. Sector 2 was quite a bit off, and then Oscar had a monster sector 3. So hopefully we'll get both into Q3 and go again.
Is there a worry for you that the times are so close together? One little slip up here could be 4, 5, 6 places on the grid.
Always worried about that.
I'm sure. Zach, thanks ever so much indeed. We'll be back with you at the next interval between Q2 and Q3. Lewis Hamilton out, I'm afraid, once again. Only 16th fastest. Let's go to the sky pad. Anthony Davidson.
Yeah, thanks, Crofty. Let's have a look at this sector 3 then. So turn 9, a little bit tentative, bit of understeer mid-corner actually. So therefore picks up the throttle a little bit too late. Then you come into turn 12. And again, a huge amount of understeer. Runs him too wide and actually onto the curb for a short moment in time. That's not the ideal line to be on. It compromises turn 13. And then in 14, Has a little bit of a snap of oversteer actually mid-corner. Again, really not ideal. The final corner, he doesn't trust the car at this stage from what it's been doing earlier on to him, and I just feel like he doesn't carry the speed in turn 16. So just one of those laps for Lewis where it just doesn't feel like he's anticipating the peak grip of the tyre that well, and also a lot of understeer as well creeping in. Just a terrible sector 3 for him. That's where it all went wrong.
Thanks ever so much, Ants. Good timing as the green light is on now at the end of the pit lane. Resets, or how much do you remember if you're Verstappen, Piastri and Norris from the previous session?
Well, a racetrack's a living thing, and racing slick tyres are voodoo at the best of times. So you'll go out, see what the grip feels like, and you're reactive. You kind of live on your wits a little bit. You feel that grip through your backside, through your hands, and just the lateral forces going on in your body. You know, it's balance. That's the word you'll hear all weekend at any racetrack, anywhere in the world, any formula. Balance. I want the front and the rear to slide in equal amounts, because if you're on the limit through a corner, you're sliding.
So here he comes then, Max Verstappen on his outlap, treating those tyres as carefully as he possibly can. He has got the track all to himself.
Yeah, he's on used tyres, and the McLarens are going to have to come out on used tyres if they want to keep themselves a decent haul for Q3. And what's interesting here, isn't it, is Alonso, Antonelli right in there as well. And sort of getting in the mix, that could, as we said earlier on, very much spoil somebody's evening.
Very much so. Ted, let's head down to you.
What, like Lando Norris? Spoil his evening. Just has to get through, doesn't he, into Q3 and then somewhere near the top 3. And, yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Talking about the McLarens and that mega lap you're talking from Oscar Piastri, Bernie Collins has been crunching the numbers and looking at the data, and it looks like what we saw in the pit lane, that Oscar Piastri is running a very slightly thinner rear wing. Seems to be supported on the telemetry data, Crofty, on the GPS. He's quicker, Piastri's quicker than Norris on all the straights, and then is managing to keep it together brilliantly in the corners to get that lap together. So Max Verstappen started it by going down on rear downforce this morning, and then it looks like the McLarens have followed. But Lando with a smidge more rear wing angle.
Struggled to overtaking Qatar last weekend, didn't he, Lando, when he got behind Kimi Antonelli. The back of this Red Bull absolutely on the ground at speed. It's amazing how they keep the plank wear intact in the Grand Prix, isn't it? When they stick 100+ kilos of fuel in it, you can hear it, listen, scuffing along the ground as the aerodynamics compress the car suspension, compress the tyre sidewalls, and the car runs along the ground. That's where you get peak downforce as well.
Saw the graphic as well. Oscar Piastri picking up over 2/10 in the slow corners to Lando Norris as well. They might have taken a bit off the rear wing, not hurting him at all through those slow corners.
It looks like tense driving from Lando, doesn't it?
Yep.
To be half second adrift.
It's something Nico Rosberg was talking about. Verstappen crosses the line into the 122s with him, a 122.9 on the used tyres, and half a tenth adrift of his best time on the new tyres in Q1.
It's interesting to see Max there still hustling. Normally they back right off, don't they? But he wants to keep trying that out on those used tyres and see what he can find, see what he can learn, because he knows that it's about hundredths this evening, not tenths.
Absolutely. But Nico Rosberg, if you heard him, Martin, in FP3, talking about the fear, you know, of being the championship leader, 12 points ahead, coming into the final round and driving with fear all the time. And you wonder, would that be, you know, easy to imagine Lando Norris, you know, suffering something like that tonight?
Possibly a little bit tight in the car, as we were talking about earlier on, or maybe he just had a couple of scruffy laps. Let's see what he's got when he hooks a lap up.
So this man's hooked a lap up, or several, towards the end of the season. Only been out-qualified by his teammate Esteban Ocon once in the last 8 races, and that was in Las Vegas. And he's he's finishing with an absolute flourish. His rookie season, Ollie Bearman, had that DNF in Qatar, ended a 5-race scoring streak, which is the longest point-scoring streak ever by a Haas driver. He featured his best result in his career, that 4th in Mexico City. Has outscored his teammate, has outqualified his teammate, and I'm sure we'll sit down to Christmas lunch thinking this ain't been a bad year, really.
It's been a cracking year, and Ferrari must be eyeing him up to put in a seat when they have one available. Ollie Bearman looking the real deal. Still makes mistakes because he's young, but you know, you can fix that. You can't fix it if the driver's not fast enough, and he appears to be fast enough.
That is very true. Kimi Antonelli, his former F2 teammate, has also finished with a flourish this year and has put a 16.9 for the first sector. Russell, his teammate, has done the same thing. Carlos Sainz has done the same thing as well, and Carlos Sainz with multiple podiums this season for Williams. The first Williams driver to get multiple podiums in a year since 2015. Bearman goes 3rd behind his teammate Esteban Ocon by about 3/10. He'll need to improve on that for sure.
Yeah, Bearman's got some more speed through the final corner if he wants. He was very safe through there in terms of track limit, so he knows he can stretch that one a little bit more. Let's see what the Williams can do.
Carlos Sainz around that final turn. He comes, crosses the line, goes 2nd fastest, qualified 3rd on the grid here. His best ever qualifying at Yas last season. Antonelli goes 4th fastest. Now we pick up Isaac Hadjar, the best qualifier outside the big 4 teams this season, and he goes 4th overall, 4/10 down on Max Verstappen. George Russell will be next across the line, Martin, and a brilliant middle sector, goes quickest of all.
And that, I believe, is on that's on news tyres, isn't it, that one? So, yeah, the Mercedes then looking fast in the hands of both their drivers.
And here's Lance Stroll with a time, a 3rd fastest for him, ahead then of Charles Leclerc, only P6 for Charles Leclerc. Just under 4/10 down, just over 4/10 down, Lance Stroll. And his teammate, Fernando Alonso, goes 3rd fastest. This is an impressive showing here from both Aston Martin drivers, to the surprise, I'm sure, of quite a few.
Yeah, so what have we got then from Norris and Piastri time-wise? They're right down at the moment, 14, 15. And at the moment, Piastri is 3/10, Norris is 3/10 up on this lap. Used tyres, of course.
The Sauber of Bortoletto goes P4. I think there's a big difference here between used and new tyres out there, as Piastri goes 3rd fastest. Final sector was very good for him. The final sector has been very good for Lando Norris in the practice sessions so far this weekend. We got a camera on board with Max Verstappen. We're watching Norris go over the lines. He goes 2nd fastest there, just 0.07 of a second behind George Russell once again, and ahead of his teammate Oscar Piastri as we ride on board with Max Verstappen. Now he should pick up a little slipstream here down that back straight, behind Fernando Alonso of all people.
It's a lovely slipstream, and then Fernando gets out of his way conveniently. So top 4 at the moment, all on used tyres. If they could get through this on used, they would be extremely happy, because they'll give them 2 new sets for Q3.
Into the right-hander, and now the hotel section. Max Verstappen has crowds all around trying to get the best view of the Red Bull as it flies past. 2 more corners to go on this lap, and it's looking a pretty handy lap here for the 4-time world champion, who crosses the line 22/100ths of a second behind George Russell. So all to play for here, and the top 3 separated by less than a 10th, with Oscar Piastri just under 3/10 down on George Russell. I dare say they're all going to want to go out there on a new set of tyres to go and do their final runs in this Q2 session. Assuming, of course, that a 1:23.0 means you do have to go out again, because that's Piastri's time. This is Charles Leclerc around that final corner. Only P10 for Charles Leclerc. How wide did he go? Certainly sliding, but well within the line. The Ferrari driver started P10 for the last Grand Prix in Qatar, started P9 on the grid in Las Vegas.
Yeah, actually checking the app again, it was new tyres for George Russell. actually, and according to what I'm looking at here. But anyway, he's fast. But they're not just looking at each other, the three championship contenders. They're looking over their shoulders as well, aren't they?
They certainly are. Oscar Piastri has just been called to the weighbridge, which is a random weighbridge, the FIA. Sometimes you're unlucky and you get called in when you just don't need it, and sometimes you can sail through, but it is all completely random. Did you have an incident with a weighbridge in Monaco once that cost you in qualifying?
Yes, I missed it because Nigel Mansell had run over the foot of the man with the flag, telling us whether we had to go to the weighbridge or not, and I got disqualified. Despite Charlie Whiting, bless him, coming with me to explain exactly why I'd missed the weighbridge, but hey-ho, I went home.
Seems pretty unfair, that one, but I'm glad to say Oscar got weighed, Ted Kravitz. He's back in the garage now, and there didn't seem to be anyone getting run over while they were holding a flag.
No, good. Thank heavens for that. But he's going to have to find some speed, as is everybody else underneath him. They're saying about the cut-off time being a 1:23.2. That's obviously what it is at the moment with Charles Leclerc. So I'd put it down a bit further, a couple of tenths further than that, sharper than that. Maybe a 1:23.1, 1:23 flat. But with Bortoleto and Alonso the same time as Piastri in the McLaren, that is impressive, both in terms of the track evolution and those laps from Alonso and Bortoleto. Right, we've got the usual, everybody waits, and then everybody takes the pit lane at the same time, just about manages not to crash into each other, thankfully, and now they're all lining up to try and build themselves a gap at the end of the pit lane.
Thank you very much, Ted.
This is going to be tense. 15 cars still in it. And of course we know what they do. They all tend to hang around at the end of the lap as well, don't they, to build a gap. And this, every lap matters. Every corner, every meter matters now for the championship contenders. And yeah, and they're very nervously looking at the likes of Alonso and co, and the two Mercedes, as to whether they can get in. I mean, the trouble is, if you don't qualify in the first row or two, at least row two, then you're in the danger zone on that first lap. If you're third or fourth row, you're so much in the danger zone through turn one and at the end of the back straight.
As I said at the start, Martin, 10 races, 10 pole positions, 10 wins from pole in a row here in Yas Marina. That equals Barcelona from 2001 to 2010 for the most consecutive races won from pole at a single circuit. But the front row drivers have finished 1-2 in that time in 7 of the last 10 Grand Prix here, and the 1, 2, 3 on the grid have finished in that order in 4 of the last 9 Grand Prix here as well.
Yeah, the grid's important. It's odd when you think about it, isn't it, when you look at how long the straights are here and 16 corners, but that's the way it pans out.
So if you're just joining us, 5 drivers out: Colapinto and Gasly, Hulkenberg, Albon and Lewis Hamilton, who starts P16 for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, finished 4th from 16th on the grid here last year. Ends his season with his longest career run of Q1 eliminations. His teammate Charles Leclerc pushing hard, but look how the Ferrari did not want to respond at turn 1.
No, he had to get on the throttle to bring the car in, and it just stepped out a little bit. Again, smoking as he went down the hill there. And Leclerc then is not a personal best. First sector, no surprise there, given he had to sort out the exit of turn 1. And now he's going to have to. The trouble is, you try too hard then for the rest of the lap if you're not careful.
Bernie Collins down on the pit wall saying that George Russell looks like he's come out on used tyres. He, at plus or minus 2 tenths, he's still the right side of it for a cut-off time with a 1:22.7. So they're saving their tyres for a couple of new sets and for Q3, which they think he should be safely through. Charles Leclerc is not picking up the pace that he needs here as Carlos Sainz goes fastest overall in the first sector. Yuki Tsunoda with a really excellent middle sector for Red Bull. Hasn't been in Q3 since Azerbaijan 7 races ago, but he's might be looking a good bet for it here as Leclerc absolutely swings the car through turn 14, the left-hander. Onwards now to the last couple of corners. How high up the order can he get with this? He goes 4th, fastest with a 1:22.9. See where he finishes up as Yuki Tsunoda will be crossing the line next and goes P6. Lost a little bit of time to Leclerc in that final sector. On board now with George Russell. Kimi Antonelli goes 8th fastest overall.
Well, that's difficult for Antonelli. Oh, that was close against the wall as well, wasn't it? For Sainz, Antonelli at risk there.
He is. Bortoletto goes 4th fastest. Another storming lap from him. Norris keeps out the way of Sainz, who crosses the line and goes 9th, and Lando Norris now starts his final flying lap here, and he currently finds himself 3rd fastest. We're on board with Isaac Hadjar in the elimination zone. His teammate Liam Lawson is currently 10th. Their last race as teammates. Isaac Hadjar could knock Liam Lawson out the top 10, and he does. Goes 6th fastest overall.
And Antonelli out as well then. He's not going to get another quick lap in.
Carlos Sainz is also out. Esteban Ocon puts his Haas into the top 8. So you've got Stroll and Behrman still to come. Here's Fernando Alonso. He's still pushing on his lap too. Norris shouldn't push too hard on this lap. It doesn't really need to, and Piastri should be okay as Fernando Alonso goes 4th fastest. Right, Piastri now 8th, but there's only 2 on a flying lap. Stroll and Behrman. Behrman doesn't make it. He's been out-qualified by his teammate Esteban Ocon here, and he'll start P11. And just looking to see who else could be on a lap. That should be it.
Norris can abandon that lap and save some life in those tyres for his first run in Q3, and that's exactly what he's done.
So, Yuki Tsunoda makes it through. There are 2 Red Bulls in the top 10.
Man, I don't understand. I've no rear again.
And the grip just wasn't there for Kimi Antonelli. There's only 1 Mercedes through. George Russell, who was fastest, his teammate, is down in P14. Lance Stroll didn't get the lap in terms of a lap time that was good enough for Q2, and he'll start P15, the slowest in that session. Let's just have a little look here at Charles Leclerc, and we saw it off board. Just that, it looked more spectacular off board than it did on, but you're right, he had to get on the throttle, Martin.
Yeah, he picked up a horrible bit of understeer, the front sliding in about 2/3 the way through the corner, and Yuki Tsunoda put in, I think, actually, yes, Tsunoda's the fastest man in the 36-second middle sector of everybody. Oh, did he make that?
That might need looking at and rechecking by the stewards here, which could be a reprieve for Ollie Bear. Yeah. This is the final few corners, and Kimi Antonelli complaining about the rear of his car. No complaints from George Russell. He's through as the fastest. Verstappen, Norris, the top 3. Piastri 8th, but he abandoned his final run, and we lost Behrman, Sainz, Lawson, Antonelli and Stroll.
It's a marvellous goal. What a strike!
Welcome along to the 15th running of the Formula One World Championship Singapore Grand Prix. I wouldn't be at all upset if Daniel Ricciardo got driver of the day today. So is he going to take the fastest lap in what could be his final Grand Prix?
That's all I have.
And that was the right time to put it together, thank you. You are safe?
Yes.
Negative?
Yes.
Laurent Mekies, team principal at Red Bull. Before we talk about your two drivers tonight, that's the kind of enthusiasm you want for next year, isn't it?
Yeah, in fairness, he did a very good job there. So it's you know, we have Max, Yuki, and also Isaac now. So it's a good Red Bull driver's effort.
Yeah, you must be super happy there. But, Yuki then mega fast, fastest man in the middle part of the lap, Laurent.
Yeah, he has done a very, very good job, honestly, all weekend from FP1. He has been there, so a bit unfortunate this morning with the contact in the pit lane, so he lost a bit of time, but you have seen he has been on the right rhythm straight away, so, you know, well done to him. He deserves it.
Max, second fastest. Have you got the pace for pole tonight?
Have you seen how incredibly tight it is? No,
yeah.
I don't think I remember such a tight grid. Honestly, it's 3/10 P1 to P10 now. I think it was 5/10 P1 to P15 earlier.
Yeah, true.
Anything can happen, but there will be a few cars in the mix for pole.
I don't know if you've seen it. I nearly
Thanks ever so much,
like
Lauren.
5 times.
As we see Charles
I was doing
Leclerc,
a rally.
just saying, I was doing rally, and he was at times. Small margins, Anthony Davidson. Let's take a quick look at Yuki Tsunoda. Track limits. Was he over the line?
Well, let's have a look, shall we, with the help of the tools here. So this is the onboard shot. It's too hard to see that one, but on the offboard, we can stop it just at the right moment and just roll it on slightly. I'll put the magnifying tool up as well. So what you're looking for is just one tiny bit of contact with the front left tyre. We can see that the rear's out. I think that front left tyre remains just about in contact the whole time, but I don't know if you've got a better look from where you're sitting. I don't know. It's so tight. I think he's just about in. And remember, if on the CCTV, if they can look down a top view from the car, the bulge of the tyre, I feel, would be over the white line. I think he should be all right with that one, in my opinion, but it's way too close to
stand
call.
a bit closer to the telly, man.
Still can't see
Yuki
it.
doesn't have a whole lot of luck. I think that's a little touch of luck, that one.
It could well be, yeah. I mean, he's got to pray for this one, I think, to the racing gods.
I think the racing gods have answered his prayers. We've started, or we're about to start, and he will be through. Sadly, no racing luck, qualifying luck, or any luck at all for Lewis Hamilton tonight. He's in the media pen now, talking to Rachel.
Hi, Lewis. When we spoke yesterday, you said there was... Hi, Lewis. When we spoke yesterday, you said there were some changes you wanted to make overnight in the car to get a better balance. Were the changes made for today?
Yeah, we made lots of changes. The car felt great today.
And the car felt great. So when you said on the radio, the same thing again, are you referring to your performance in qualifying? And you don't know why, it's just you can't find it at the moment, that skill you've been known for? All right, I'll leave it to it. Thanks, Lewis.
A nod of the head twice.
I think Rachel does very well with those interviews. That's a tough gig.
And asked with a lot of compassion. And thank you to Lewis for the honest answers there as well. It's hard to talk about, Martin, when you are a 7-time world champion with 104 poles, and you know that your speed wasn't there tonight, and it was coming from you. It's a hard thing to talk about.
Yeah. It wouldn't help throwing the thing in the hedge earlier on, because cars have to get put back together slightly hurriedly in terms of the perfect setup, get them on the flat patch, and just getting everything absolutely, you know, things you just don't have the luxury of finally setting the car up when it's got to be put back together again.
Bernie Collins on our pit wall. Come in, Bernie.
Yes, just a quick bit of information for you, Crofty, in this session. 3 drivers that I've confirmed, they've gone past me in the pit lane, have 2 sets of new tyres for this session, and those 3 drivers are Verstappen, Russell and Leclerc. They have 2 new sets. Everyone else is going to run a used set first and then a new set second. So there are 3 to watch out for in this first run at least. And can that bring them the advantage into the second run as well?
Well, it gives them the knowledge of exactly what a new set of tyres feels like on the track at this moment in time. And this comes back to McLaren having to use those 2 new sets in Q1 unusually. What they were able to both do is, although they're used when they go out, they only really did sort of a half a lap hard because they could abandon that lap. So they kind of got 1.5 new sets at McLaren.
So here we go then. Poles this season: Verstappen 7, Norris 7, Piastri 6. Piastri had a full race run without a top 3 start until he took pole in Qatar. It could end up with 7 poles each for the top 3 in the championship in 2025. Verstappen with a 16.8 for the first sector, and that's the best one we've had so far in this qualifying hour.
Yeah, a little bit of wheel spin coming out of 7. He's going to get a slipstream. Well, he was going to get a super slipstream from his mate, but he had to get out of the way, give Max a clear line of sight for the super fast turn 9, and that's nearly as fast as 10 and 11. And we're in then underneath the hotel, and the lights, the track is so bright for them. That is not a problem here at night. And 1 corner to go, and you sort of tip it in from the top of a hill, and Max then using all of the track. And what can he do? A 22.2. That's quick. That's very quick.
That's half a second faster than his best time in Q2. It's a second faster than Gabriel Bortoletto, who's just crossed the line, and he's gone significantly faster than both Norris and Piastri on their used tyres that have done half a lap at least compared to Max on the new tyres for this first run in Q3. Isaac Hadjar moves ahead of Esteban Ocon, the 4 that have completed a lap so far. Lando Norris next to cross the line, goes second fastest, that half a second behind Max Verstappen, but you're not expecting him to be level with Verstappen on that performance, given the offset between new and used soft tyres.
Agreed, but is there a half second in a new set of tyres? We'll find out shortly.
Well, we certainly will, and Max Verstappen proving that each and every one of these 16 corners need to be treated with respect. Last year, when his qualifying ended at the final turn, Piastri puts 3/10 between himself and Verstappen. If you remember, Max nearly crashed exiting the final corner on his fastest lap last year. So you've got to treat this track with respect. Charles Leclerc slots into 4th fastest. Fernando Alonso 6th fastest. We're on board with George Russell now,
who was wrestling it like crazy coming out from underneath the hotel, really fighting the car hard, George Russell. And that is, despite having 2 new sets of tyres, that is the result, a 22.8. That's a 10th slower than Q2 because he lost so much time wrestling the car.
On the team radio, Yuki Tsunoda has been told to give Max a really good tow. You know, wait for him, look in your mirrors. Well,
he sort of gave him a good half a tow, didn't he, down the back straight? That was the mistake there from George. So he tips it in hard, it oversteers. That would have been so easy to smear that car down the wall.
Wouldn't it just? But the advantage that Red Bull have of 2 drivers in Q3 here, one of whom is going for the championship, one has been out of the championship for a long, long period. They can afford to use Yuki Tsunoda tonight to help Max Verstappen get that extra speed down the straight, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. And it wouldn't surprise me, Martin Brundle, if Yuki Tsunoda doesn't start P10 in this race and he goes out again to try and drive for his teammate the next time we see him on track.
Yeah. It looked like he sort of got out of the way as Norris then wrestling the car in the final corner. It looks like Tsunoda sort of got out of the way, maybe a touch too early, but at least he didn't hinder Verstappen in any way.
This was a replay then of Lando Norris. That wasn't the entry, or the exit I should say, in the entry into turn 1 that he really wanted.
He's not had that lovely fluid driving style that we've seen in the free practices, Lando. There's something just, what I talked about earlier on, there's something just a bit edgy and a bit tight about the way Lando's driving. He needs to calm those hands down for his final attempt.
That was his golf swing. He'd be back on the range going, right, I know how to do this. I've just got to find a rhythm again. Bernie, to you.
Yes, Crofty, I was just going to pick up on that discussion about the toe. You can see that in Verstappen's telemetry. You can see him gain down both of the main straights, out of turn 5, out of turn 7. That's where some of the gain is to the two McLarens. But then, contrary to what's been happening the majority of the weekend, he also gains through that final sector, 12, 13, 14. Verstappen got that together quite well on that first lap in Q3, and he manages to gain as well over McLaren, which has been their strong point all weekend.
Brilliantly explained, Bernie. We can actually bring some pictures to that as well, because this is Max Verstappen out on track.
Give him a really good toe here, really good toe. Wait for him. Look in your mirrors.
So that's the toe that he was getting from Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, Tsunoda did pull out about the right time, actually, didn't he? But so, and of course he's on new tyres, Max, which is why the car hung on well through here as well. And that could be pole already. That slipstream and that lap could well be fast enough for pole position. We'll find out shortly. It's going to need something mighty from the two McLaren boys to beat that.
And the gap just over 3/10 for Oscar Piastri to claim a pole position, or just under half a second for Lando Norris. Assuming, of course, Max doesn't go any faster. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, that's a big assumption, isn't it? Because Max leaving the garage again on new tyres. Yuki gets a set of new tyres and goes first. No toe for him, but no sign of him giving a toe now to Max on the second run. George Russell saying he's got no rear grip. So team radio.
Try and get me behind Verstappen on his in-lap. He'll probably give me a toe.
Okay, and yeah, we've seen with the new tyres, they're worth, if you get it absolutely right, 0.3 of a second over the scrub tyres. But McLaren, both Piastri and Norris, are going to need all those 0.3 and more, as you say, Martin.
Yeah, and that's smart thinking from George, isn't it? He's got his brain engaged. Look, Max would love me to be on the front row with him. He'll give me a slipstream, get me behind him.
Yeah, Max is getting an advantage. Toe can play at that game, is what he's saying.
He did.
Only 3/10 covering the top 10 drivers in Q2. And if that's repeated here, it'll break the record for the closest top 10 in history for the third time this season. Katy Perry playing in concerts here last night in Abu Dhabi. Benson Boone playing tomorrow night and handing out the trophy for the pole position. It's a beautiful thing. For tonight, Metallica on stage. So, for whom the bell tolls then, and who's got the fuel for this one? George Russell, desperate to get out of the garage. They're as close to Max as he possibly can. Oh.
Yes. You almost wonder if that had been discussed beforehand, don't you? Because, but the trouble is, George can't get too close, otherwise he'll struggle in the corners. But a nice distant slipstream. But Max had the perfect slipstream, really, because the person cutting a hole in the air for him just skedaddled out of the way.
Right, we're watching the McLaren of Oscar Piastri. We are watching the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. We're watching the McLaren of Lando Norris. It is all coming down to these runs. Bernie Collins.
Yeah, just quickly, Coffee. Obviously, Tsunoda almost a full lap out of phase with Verstappen. So can they do something on Tsunoda's in lap? That's what we've got to watch out for. Can he give Verstappen that toe? I think Russell's too close. He needed more than half a lap between him and Verstappen in order to get Verstappen on his in lap. That's what he was hoping to achieve. But Verstappen left the garage too late for that.
Previous poles here. I mentioned those 4 in a row for Max Verstappen. It was Lando Norris winning from pole here in Abu Dhabi last year. And it's 7 for Max, 7 for Lando, 6 for Oscar in terms of poles in 2025. McLaren Constructors Champions wanting a Drivers' Championship to go with that. The great Emerson Fittipaldi is here to watch the next 3.2 miles, starting off with Oscar Piastri. Martin Brundle.
Yeah, Piastri had to back up a bit to give space to Leclerc. Norris to back up to give space against Piastri. There's Piastri. You'll see Norris in the background, I'd imagine. And it's turn 1. Flies through there nicely. Car hooked up. absolutely full throttle and a bit of curb through turns 2, 3 and 4. Cascade down the hill to 5, and got to touch the curb on the inside if you can. Pick up the throttle. Where you pick up the throttle there is super important. It's a 16.9 for Piastri, a 16.9 for Norris as well in the first sector.
As for Max Verstappen, he comes to the end of the first sector. It's a 16.8 for Max Verstappen. He's got the advantage, but only by 12 thousandths of a second, as Piastri now puts his foot to the floor and blasts his way down the second of those back straights towards turn 9. 200 miles an hour. DRS in use for the final time in Formula One, and giving him that extra 20 kilometers an hour speed, but he's not finding the speed on this lap to trouble the pole sitter.
Norris a tenth faster than Piastri in the middle sector of this lap.
It could be that Max Verstappen takes pole, but which of the McLaren drivers starts ahead of the other? We shall see. Leclerc goes P3 as he crosses the line. Alonso 6th, Hadjar 9th. Here comes Piastri, crosses the line. It was a brilliant final sector, but he stays only on the front row. Lando Norris, who was on pole here in Abu Dhabi last year, has he got the speed for pole? No, but crucially, he's ahead of his teammate and takes the front row himself. It is going to be Max Verstappen to claim pole for a 5th time here in Abu Dhabi, equal with Lewis Hamilton for the most, and George Russell careers his way around the final corner, loses time in the process, and it all goes wrong for him where it went wrong for Max 12 months ago. It has all gone right for Max here tonight. The championship up for grabs, and Verstappen has taken pole.
And that was a quicker lap still without any slipstream. Stunning lap from Max Verstappen there. A full 2 tenths faster than the McLarens.
That's 2 pole position laps, Max. It's a good start.
Let's go, guys. That was insane. Yes. Lovely.
So, Verstappen will start on pole for what is the 48th in his career, his first time in P1 since Austin. For Lando Norris, that's a really important front row ahead of his teammate, championship challenger as well, Oscar Piastri. Piastri is the one to lose out here, only by, what, 3/100ths of a second to Lando Norris. If it finished Verstappen, Norris, Piastri, Norris would still be the champion. That would be enough.
That's P3. P3. That sets you up nicely for tomorrow.
Yeah, nicely done. Wasn't much left in that one, so thanks. Car was pretty good.
Yeah, I think Oscar's going to be a little bit disappointed with that, especially after his Q2 performance. And George Russell then throws that Mercedes-Benz at the last corner, just about keeps it in play. And let's have a look at it. Here's a nice slow-mo. I mean, he just all caution to the wind there for George. Oh, he just about kept his right front in play, didn't he, there?
The right front slid out, the back right was in, and vice versa. That was rally from George Russell. A great performance by Charles Leclerc to take P5 on the grid tonight.
I think that's interesting, Leclerc P5, because I don't think he's going to have the race pace of the 4 guys ahead of him. We're going to have a 2-part race, but that means the 3 championship contenders are pretty clear now to go and just fight it out, with George Russell keeping a close eye on them.
Number 1 on his car, Max Verstappen, here this evening, where he took that number 1 in 2021, where he's had that number 1 on his car now for, what, 1,457 consecutive days. He doesn't want that number 1 to disappear. What a race we've got in store tomorrow. Don't expect Max Verstappen to blast off into the distance. He will need others to overtake Lando Norris, and he will need maybe to back Norris into the pack. Piastri will be challenging because he needs to beat Norris as well. And Russell and Leclerc and Alonso, Bortoletto and Ocon, Hadjar and Tsunoda making up the top 10 will all be desperate to get into the fight too.
Norris will, in P2, starts a little tighter into the first corner because pole position's on the right-hand side. Gives you a nice swing into that corner, and Piastri will be right behind him.
Kelly is there for the congratulations. Oscar Piastri knows all about that tight first corner because, of course, he started P2 last year, and then Max tagged him going for the move on the inside. Smiles tonight as he's done what he had to do to claim that pole position, and that was 2 very, very fine laps indeed.
Yeah, and 2 tenths in that field's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had 1.5 tenths in Q1 between, I think, 4th and 15th.
So the Red Bull fans are happy for tonight. I don't know if any of the top 3 will get any sleep this evening at all. There's an awful lot at stake. Verstappen ends with the most poles this season. Zach Brown says, congratulations, well done to Oscar Piastri. And congratulations and well done to Lando Norris, who probably looks the most disappointed of the top 3, I think, there.
He shouldn't be, if he is. Yeah, they're all in play, aren't they? And it's, you know, it's this time we've seen the 3 championship contenders pull something very special out of the bag tonight. I mean, absolute commitment.
Oke teman-teman, thank you banget sudah nonton ya. Nanti kan besok kita bakal live juga, dan nobar mungkin sama Adam dan juga Dean. Kita bertiga bakal nobar. Dan kalian bisa nonton juga siarannya di Discord kita, Republic of Speed. Linknya ada di deskripsi. Oke, kalau gitu, terima kasih banyak teman-teman. Kami pamit undur diri. Thank you, bye-bye. Jangan lupa like and subscribe.
Joined here by your top 3, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri. Max, first of all, congratulations, 48th career pole.